Admiral Tejo stood in the main conference room of Velkari Prime's largest orbital station, now under human control. Through the massive windows, he could see the planet below and the remains of the once mighty Velkari fleet floating in space. 600,000 human ships patrolled the system, a constant reminder of the new order. Regent Theknor sat across from him at the negotiation table. The elderly Velkari leader looked tired and defeated. Around her sat the surviving members of the Planetary Council, their 4 eyes filled with fear and confusion. Admiral Tejo, Theknor began, her voice barely above a whisper.
What will happen to our people?
Tejo leaned forward, his expression serious but not cruel. That depends on your cooperation, Regent. The Terran Federation does not believe in genocide or slavery. We believe in justice. Colonial Administrator Minho stepped forward with a data tablet. As Earth's expert on planetary management, he had been chosen to oversee the transition. We've prepared a list of terms for the surrender, he said, handing the tablet to Theknor. The Velkari regent read through the document, her eyes growing wider with each line. You're not going to kill us. No, Admiral Tejo replied firmly. We're not like you. We don't murder innocent civilians, but your military forces will be disbanded. Your government will operate under human oversight, and you will help us contact other Velkari colonies to arrange their peaceful surrender. Ambassador Yejin, Earth's top diplomat, joined the conversation. The Terran Federation is willing to provide humanitarian aid to help rebuild your society, but it will be rebuilt according to human values. No more aggressive wars. No more claims of racial superiority. Dr. Minji entered the room carrying a box of data crystals. As humanity's leading expert on Velkari culture, she had been working to understand their society since the fleet's arrival. I've been studying your historical records, she said to the council. Your empire has destroyed over 200 worlds in the past 1,000 years. Billions of innocent people have died to expand your territory. Theknor looked ashamed. Those were different times. The Dominion believed we were bringing order to chaos. You were bringing death to the living, Admiral Tejo said coldly. That ends now. Captain Heiwan, one of the New Busan survivors, worked with medical teams to treat wounded Velkari civilians. The orbital bombardment had been precise, targeting only military installations, but some civilians had been injured in the fighting. We're setting up field hospitals in the major cities, she reported. Our medical supplies are being shared with Velkari doctors. The defeated aliens watched in amazement as their former enemies worked to heal their wounded. It went against everything they understood about warfare. In Velkari culture, defeat meant death or slavery. They couldn't comprehend an enemy that showed mercy. Commander Sung Min supervised the occupation of key military installations. His Marines had found evidence of the Velkari's other crimes. Databases full of destroyed worlds, records of enslaved populations, plans for future conquests. Admiral, you need to see this, he said, bringing a data crystal to the conference room. The crystal contained footage of the New Busan attack from the Velkari perspective. Admiral Kethvar could be seen giving orders to bombard civilian areas. His officers laughed as human cities burned. The aliens had recorded their own war crimes. This will be evidence at the war crimes trials, Ambassador Yejin announced. The galaxy needs to know what the Velkari Dominion really was. Over the following weeks, more human fleets arrived at Velkari Prime. Earth had continued building ships even after the first fleet departed. Transport vessels brought civilian administrators, teachers, doctors, and engineers to help rebuild Velkari society. Captain Wu Jin commanded the Memorial Fleet Base, a massive orbital facility being constructed where the main battle had taken place. The base would serve as headquarters for human operations in former Velkari space and as a monument to the victims of New Busan. Every ship that passes through this system will see this base, he explained to his construction crews. They'll remember what happens when you attack human civilians. Dr. Sujin worked with Velkari scientists to understand their technology. Much of it could be adapted for peaceful purposes. Their advanced medical equipment could help human doctors. Their agricultural systems could feed hungry populations on liberated worlds. They're not evil, she explained to her research team. They're just completely convinced of their own superiority. Re-education will take time, but it's possible. Communications specialist Dayun established contact with other species in the galaxy. Word of humanity's victory had spread quickly. Dozens of alien civilizations sent diplomatic messages, requesting meetings with the new human government. "Everyone wants to be our friend now," she reported to Admiral Tejo. "The Zephyrian Republic is offering a trade alliance. The Crystalline Collective wants to exchange scientific data. Even the Hive worlds are requesting non-aggression pacts." Young Su, now promoted to captain, commanded patrols of former Velkari space. His ship searched for war criminals and liberated slave worlds. Many species that had been conquered by the Dominion welcomed their human liberators with celebration. "The Torvik system just declared independence from Velkari rule," he reported during one patrol. "They're requesting protection under the Terran Federation." Navigator He Jin worked on mapping former Velkari territory. The Empire had been vast, controlling 47 star systems across this part of the galaxy. Each world would need to be contacted, each population freed or relocated. "It's going to take years to sort out this mess," she told Admiral Tejo. "The Velkari conquered so many species that some don't even remember their original homeworlds." 6 months after the battle, Admiral Tejo received a message from Earth. President Yunha appeared on his screen, smiling for the first time since the New Busan massacre. "Admiral, the Terran Council has voted to establish the Terran Federation as a galactic government," she announced. "You're being promoted to Fleet Admiral and given command of all human forces outside the solar system." The memorial ceremony for New Busan took place 1 year after the battle. Representatives from dozens of species attended, including many who had been liberated from Velkari rule. A monument was unveiled listing the names of all 2.25 million victims. Dr. Minji, now an old woman, spoke at the ceremony. "We came here not for revenge but for justice. We fought not to become conquerors but to protect the innocent. The people of New Busan died as free humans. They will be remembered as heroes who showed the galaxy what humanity truly means." In the audience, Velkari children listened to the speech alongside human children. They were learning a new way of life, one based on cooperation instead of domination. It would take generations, but the wounds of war could heal. Admiral Tejo stood before the memorial, reading the names of the dead. Around him, 600,000 human ships maintained their vigil. The largest fleet in galactic history had become the foundation of a new era of peace. The Velkari had thought they were superior to all other species. They had learned the hard way that there was no force in the galaxy more dangerous than humans defending their families. And in the darkness between stars, other species that might have considered attacking human colonies thought twice. The message was clear and would never be forgotten. Touch one human and 600,000 ships will come for you. Humanity had not sought to rule the galaxy, but the galaxy had made the choice for them. In trying to destroy one human colony, the Velkari had created a galactic superpower. The age of human expansion had begun. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation around Velkari Prime. 600,000 ships appeared in the space of seconds, surrounding the enemy home system like a steel net. On the bridge of the TNS Vengeance, Admiral Tejo watched the tactical display show their overwhelming numbers. "My God," whispered Navigator Hyejin. "Look at their planet." Velkari Prime hung in space like a gray jewel, covered with massive cities that stretched across entire continents. Orbital stations surrounded the planet, each one the size of a human city. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. "Enemy fleet detected," reported sensor operator Seoyeon. 30,000 ships moving to intercept. They're launching from orbital bases around the planet. Admiral Tejo opened a communication channel to the entire human fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Tejo. You all know why we're here. 2 years ago, the Velkari murdered 2 million innocent humans at New Busan. Today, we deliver justice." The Velkari fleet moved toward them in standard battle formation. Their ships were elegant and deadly with curved hulls that seemed to flow like water. Energy shields glowed around each vessel, and their weapons began charging with blue fire. High Admiral Zefek commanded the Velkari defense from his flagship, a massive vessel 3 times larger than any human ship. He studied the approaching human fleet with 4 cold eyes, trying to understand what he was seeing. "How many human ships do you count?" he asked his sensor officer. "Over 500,000, High Admiral. Possibly 600,000. Zefek felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. In 3,000 years of Velkari history, No enemy had ever brought so many ships to battle. Impossible. No species has that many warships. On the human side, Admiral Tejo gave his final orders. Captain Subin, take your cruisers wide to the left. Captain Wu Jin, advance your battleships in the center. Captain Youngsu, keep your destroyers ready to screen against their fighters. Dr. Sujin, are the new weapons ready? All weapon systems are fully charged, Admiral. The Velkari are about to see what human engineering can do. The battle began when Admiral Tejo spoke one word into his communicator. Fire. 100,000 human battleships opened fire at the same time. Kinetic rounds streaked across space at impossible speeds. Plasma torpedoes burned trails of fire between the fleets. The combined firepower was greater than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Velkari shields, designed to stop energy weapons, shattered under the kinetic bombardment. Solid metal rounds punched through their hulls like they were made of paper. Plasma torpedoes melted armor that had been thought invincible. Impossible, shouted High Admiral Zefek as his sensors showed dozens of his ships exploding. Our shields should stop their weapons. The projectiles aren't energy-based, replied his science officer. They're using primitive kinetic weapons, but at velocities we never expected. Admiral Kethvar, the same Velkari who had destroyed New Busan, commanded the left wing of the defense fleet. He watched human cruisers swarm around his formation like angry insects. For every human ship he destroyed, 10 more took its place. These humans fight like animals, he growled into his communicator. They have no sense of proper warfare. Captain Subin heard the transmission and smiled grimly. You're right, she said, knowing he couldn't hear her. We don't fight like you. We fight to win. Her cruiser squadron punched through the Velkari line, their weapons tearing apart enemy ships that had seemed so powerful just minutes before. Behind them, the human battleships advanced like a wall of steel and fire. Commander Seung-min watched the space battle from his assault ship, waiting for his chance to board enemy vessels. His Marines were ready to capture Velkari commanders and orbital stations. Stay ready, he told his troops. Once their fleet breaks, we move in. The battle raged for hours. Velkari ships fought bravely, but they were hopelessly outnumbered. Their advanced technology meant nothing against the sheer volume of human firepower. For every human ship destroyed, 20 Velkari vessels died in return. Captain Wu Jin led his battleship directly at the enemy flagship. Target their command ship, he ordered his weapons officer. Let's end this. High Admiral Zefek tried to retreat as human ships surrounded his vessel. His proud flagship, which had won 100 battles, took hit after hit from human weapons. Send a message to the Dominion Council, he ordered desperately. Tell them the humans have a fleet beyond all reason. But it was too late. Captain Wu Jin's battleship fired a full spread of plasma torpedoes. The Velkari flagship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the planet's surface. Admiral Kethvar attempted to flee when he saw his commander's ship destroyed. But Captain Youngsu had been waiting for exactly this moment. There's the one who killed our people at New Busan, he announced to his squadron. He's not leaving the system alive. Youngsu's destroyers surrounded Kethvar's ship. The alien admiral who had murdered millions of humans died in the same fire he had brought to New Busan 2 years earlier. With their commanders dead, the remaining Velkari fleet began to break apart. Some ships tried to flee, others fought to the death. A few attempted to surrender, but they had shown no mercy at New Busan and received none in return. Dr. Sujin monitored the battle from her laboratory ship. Her weapons were performing better than expected. Velkari technology, which had seemed so advanced, proved no match for human determination and engineering. Sometimes the best answer to advanced technology is lots of simple technology, she noted in her log. Communications specialist Da-un intercepted panicked messages from the planet below. Velkari civilians watched their mighty fleet die in orbit above their homes. Many had never imagined their empire could lose a battle. Translation coming through, Da-un reported. The planetary government is requesting terms for surrender. Admiral Tejo looked at the tactical display. Of the 30,000 Velkari ships that had met them in battle, fewer than 1,000 remained. Most of those were damaged and fleeing. The orbital defense stations around Velkari Prime had been destroyed or captured. Open a channel to the planet, he ordered. The transmission showed the Velkari Planetary Council, a group of tall gray aliens who had ruled this system for thousands of years. They looked terrified as they stared at the human admiral who had just destroyed their fleet. I am Admiral Tejo of the Terran Federation. he said calmly. Your fleet has been destroyed. Your orbital defenses are gone. Surrender now, and your people will be treated with dignity. The eldest member of the council, a female named Regent Theknor, spoke with a trembling voice. Admiral, we surrender our world to human authority. We request mercy for our civilian population. You will have it, Teho replied. Unlike your forces at New Busan, we do not make war on innocents. Around Valkyrie Prime, 600,000 human ships took up positions over a conquered world. The battle had lasted 18 hours. In that time, the most powerful empire in this part of the galaxy had fallen to human justice. But Admiral Teho knew this was just the beginning. The Valkyrie controlled dozens of star systems. There would be more battles, more worlds to liberate, more justice to deliver. But today, humanity had proven something important to the galaxy. Never attack human civilians, because humans remember everything, and humans never give up. Admiral Teho walked through the corridors of the TNS Vengeance, humanity's most powerful warship. The ship was 10 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But it was just one ship among 600,000 others, all moving through hyperspace toward Valkyrie territory. Admiral, we're 3 weeks out from the target system, reported Navigator Hyojin from the bridge. She had planned every detail of their route, avoiding Valkyrie patrol areas and using empty space between stars to hide their approach. Any signs that they've detected us? Teho asked. None, sir. Our long-range scouts report normal Valkyrie activity. They don't seem to know we're coming. In the ship's main hangar, Marine Colonel Sung Min trained his assault troops for ground combat. Unlike the Valkyrie, humans plan to capture enemy worlds instead of destroying them. Remember, we're not here to kill civilians, he told his soldiers. We're here to stop their military from ever threatening human colonies again. The Marines practiced boarding actions and city fighting. They knew the Valkyrie were taller and stronger than humans, but human weapons could level that advantage. Each Marine carried enough firepower to take on multiple alien soldiers. Down in engineering, Chief Engineer Dong Hyun monitored the fleet's condition. 600,000 ships moving together created problems no one had ever faced before. Ships had to stay perfectly spaced to avoid collisions. Fuel consumption was carefully calculated. Mechanical problems had to be fixed without stopping the entire fleet. How are the new ships holding up? Asked Captain Boram, who commanded one of the destroyer squadrons. Better than expected, Dong Hyun replied. The automated construction worked perfectly. These ships are actually more reliable than the older ones we built by hand. Communications specialist Da Yoon managed the network that connected every ship in the fleet. Messages traveled instantly between vessels using quantum communication technology. Orders from Admiral Teho could reach the furthest ships in seconds, allowing the massive fleet to change direction or formation quickly. It's like conducting the largest orchestra in history, Daun explained to her assistant. Every ship has to play its part perfectly, or the whole performance falls apart. Dr. Sujin worked in the weapons research lab, making final adjustments to humanity's new guns. The kinetic cannons fired solid metal slugs at nearly the speed of light. The plasma torpedoes burned at temperatures hot enough to melt any known material. Point defense lasers could track and destroy thousands of targets at once. The Valkyrie won't expect this level of firepower, she told Admiral Teho during a briefing. Their shields can stop energy weapons, but kinetic rounds will punch right through. Their armor is designed to absorb heat, but our plasma burns too hot for them to handle. Captain Wu Jin commanded the heavy battleship squadron, 100,000 of the fleet's most powerful ships. Each battleship carried enough weapons to fight an entire Valkyrie fleet by itself. I still can't believe we built this many ships in just 2 years, he said to his crew. Humans can do amazing things when we're angry, replied his weapons officer. Lieutenant Minho. Commander Subin led the cruiser force, 200,000 fast ships designed to outrun and outfight anything the Valkyrie had. Her ships would hit enemy formations from multiple directions, while the battleships provided heavy firepower, speed, and coordination, she reminded her captains during a fleet conference. We move fast, hit hard, and don't give them time to react. Intelligence Officer Jin Ho had spent months gathering information about Valkyrie military capabilities. His spy ships had observed enemy fleets and mapped their defensive positions. They have about 30,000 ships defending their home system, he reported. That sounds like a lot, but we outnumber them 20 to 1. Dr. Minji studied the cultural data Jin Ho had collected. As the fleet's expert on Valkyrie society, She helped plan the post-war occupation. They're a proud species, she explained. They've never lost a major battle in their recorded history. Defeat will shock them more than we can imagine. Young-Soo, now promoted to captain, commanded a group of the smaller ships that would protect the fleet from fighter attacks. His vessels carried the most advanced point defense systems human technology could produce. Every Valkyrie fighter that gets through our screen is one that might damage a battleship, he told his crews. As the fleet moved closer to enemy space, tension grew among the crews. Many had lost family or friends at New Busan. Others had never been in combat before. Admiral Taeho visited different ships talking to officers and crew members, making sure everyone understood the mission. "We're not going there to become like them," he said during one speech. "We're going to show the galaxy what happens when you attack innocent people. But we won't become monsters to fight monsters." Commander Haewon, another New Busan survivor, worked with the fleet's medical teams. Hundreds of hospital ships traveled with the combat vessels, ready to treat wounded and care for refugees. "We'll save more lives than we take," she promised the medical staff. The fleet's supply ships carried everything needed for a long campaign. Food for millions of crew members, spare parts for ship repairs, ammunition for the weapons, medical supplies for the wounded, fuel for the long journey home. "We planned for everything," reported Supply Officer Ye Jin. "This fleet can operate independently for 2 years if necessary." Long-range sensors detected the edge of Valkyrie space. The enemy's border patrol ships moved in predictable patterns, unaware that the largest military force in galactic history was approaching their territory. "Valkyrie patrol detected on the edge of the system," reported sensor operator Seo Yeon. "2 ships, standard reconnaissance pattern. Take them out quietly," Admiral Taeho ordered. "We don't want them reporting our arrival." Captain Young-Soo's fast ships moved ahead of the main fleet. Within minutes, the Valkyrie patrol was destroyed without sending any messages. The path to Valkyrie Prime lay open. Admiral Taeho stood on his bridge looking at the tactical display that showed 600,000 human ships in perfect formation. Behind them lay Earth and the memory of New Busan's destruction. Ahead lay the Valkyrie home system and a chance for justice. "All ships, this is Admiral Taeho," he announced to the entire fleet. "In 12 hours we will arrive at Valkyrie Prime. The enemy thinks they are safe in their home system. They think no one would dare attack the mighty Dominion. Today they learn what human determination looks like." The fleet prepared for battle. Weapons were charged and tested. Armor was sealed and checked. Crews took their positions at combat stations. In a few hours, the Valkyrie would discover that destroying New Busan had been the biggest mistake in their empire's history. Humanity was coming for them. 6 months after the New Busan massacre, the 3 surviving ships finally reached Earth. Admiral Taeho stood in the command center of Terran Naval Headquarters, watching the horrific footage that Dr. Minji had recorded. The images showed burning cities, exploding orbital stations, and millions of people dying under alien fire. "How many casualties?" asked President Yoon-ha, her voice barely above a whisper. 2,250,000 confirmed dead, Admiral Taeho replied. 50,000 survivors made it out. The room fell silent. Around the table sat the leaders of every major nation on Earth. For the first time in human history, they all agreed on something. The Valkyrie had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. President Yoon-ha stood up slowly. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just an attack on one colony. This is an attack on all of humanity. I am calling for total war mobilization. Every resource, every factory, every shipyard will be turned toward one goal: building a fleet large enough to make the Valkyrie pay for what they did." Commander Young-Soo, one of the few survivors from New Busan, stepped forward. "Madam President, with respect, we have maybe 300 ships in our entire navy. The Valkyrie showed up with 800 ships just to destroy one colony. How can we possibly fight them?" "We build more ships," said Chief Engineer Dong Hyun from his seat at the end of the table. "Many more ships. I've been running calculations since we heard about New Busan. If we convert every civilian shipyard and build new ones, if we mine asteroids for metal and use automated construction, we could build thousands of ships." "Thousands won't be enough," Admiral Taeho said grimly. "The Valkyrie Dominion controls dozens of star systems. They probably have tens of thousands of ships." Dr. Soo Jin, Earth's top weapons researcher, spoke up. "Then we build hundreds of thousands. The Valkyrie think they're the strongest force in the galaxy. Let's show them what happens when humans get angry. Over the next week, the Terran Council passed the War Powers Act. Every nation on Earth would contribute to Project Retribution. Factories that made cars would now make spaceship parts. Mines that dug for rare metals would focus on ship armor. Universities would train engineers and pilots instead of teaching normal subjects. Chief Engineer Dong Hyun worked 18 hours a day designing new shipyards. His plan was simple but massive. Earth would build orbital construction facilities around every planet in the solar system. Automated factories would work without stopping, building ships faster than any human workforce could manage. 600,000 ships, Dong Hyun announced at a planning meeting. That's our target number. 100,000 heavy battleships, 200,000 cruisers, and 300,000 smaller ships for support. Admiral Taeho looked at the numbers and shook his head. That's impossible. No one has ever built a fleet that large. No one has ever tried, Dong Hyun replied. But humans are good at doing impossible things when we're motivated. Dr. Soo-jin worked on new weapons technology. The Valkyrie ships had energy shields that stopped human weapons, so she designed new types of guns. Kinetic cannons that fired solid metal at incredible speeds, plasma torpedoes that could burn through any armor, point defense systems that could shoot down incoming missiles. The Valkyrie have better technology than us, she explained to her research team. But we don't need better technology. We need more technology. If one human ship can't beat a Valkyrie ship, then we'll send 10 human ships. If 10 isn't enough, we'll send 100. Captain Young-soo took charge of training the new crews. Earth's population was 8 billion people, and millions volunteered to join the Space Navy. Former merchant ship captains learned to command battleships. Civilian engineers became weapons officers. College students trained as fighter pilots. I know most of you have never been in combat, Young-soo told a group of new recruits. That's okay. The Valkyrie think we're weak because we're peaceful. They're about to learn that peaceful doesn't mean helpless. The training was hard and fast. Humans practiced fleet maneuvers in Earth's asteroid belt. They learned to coordinate attacks with hundreds of ships at once. They studied Valkyrie tactics and weaknesses, preparing for the day when they would face the alien empire. Communications specialist Da Yoon developed new systems to coordinate the massive fleet. Each ship would be connected to every other ship through quantum communication networks. Orders could travel instantly across the entire fleet, letting hundreds of thousands of ships act as one giant weapon. All across Earth, people worked with purpose they had never felt before. Factory workers stayed on duty for double shifts. Scientists worked without sleep for days at a time. Children too young to fight collected metal for recycling. Everyone understood that this was about more than revenge. This was about survival. Navigator Hye-jin, who had escaped from New Busan, spent her time mapping routes to Valkyrie space. She studied star charts and hyperspace lanes, planning the safest path for Earth's fleet to reach enemy territory. Her husband had died in the massacre, and she wanted to make sure the fleet could deliver justice. Dr. Minji worked with intelligence teams, analyzing everything humans knew about Valkyrie technology and society. She had studied their culture for years and understood how they thought. They're not evil, she explained. They're just completely convinced that they're superior to everyone else. They can't imagine losing to what they see as primitive aliens. Good, said Admiral Taeho. Overconfidence will make them easier to beat. 2 years passed. Earth's orbital shipyards worked without stopping, turning raw materials into warships. The asteroid belt was mined almost empty. Every human settlement contributed workers and resources. Children grew up watching ships being built in the sky above their homes. Finally, the day came when Admiral Taeho stood on the bridge of the TNS Vengeance, humanity's new flagship. Around Earth, 600,000 ships waited in perfect formation. Each ship was crewed by volunteers who remembered New Busan. Each ship carried weapons designed to penetrate Valkyrie shields. This is Admiral Taeho to all ships, he announced. Today we begin humanity's longest journey. We go to Valkyrie space not as conquerors, but as deliverers of justice. The galaxy will remember what happens when someone murders 2 million humans. The fleet began moving toward the edge of the solar system. It took 6 hours for all 600,000 ships to pass Mars. Earth's population watched from the surface as the largest military force in human history departed for war. Behind them, Earth continued building more ships. If the first fleet failed, there would be a second one. And a third? Humanity would keep fighting until every last Valkyrie ship was destroyed or the human race was extinct. The war had begun. Commander Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the peaceful blue-green planet below. New Busan stretched across 3 continents, its cities glowing softly in the morning light. After 15 years of hard work, the colony had become humanity's greatest success story outside Earth. 2,300,000 people called this place home. "Sir, we're getting strange readings on long-range sensors," said Lieutenant Boram from her station. Her voice carried a note of worry that made Hyunwoo turn around. "What kind of readings?" he asked, walking over to look at her screen. "Multiple contacts, very large, coming out of hyperspace at the edge of the system," Boram replied. "I count at least 300 ships, maybe more." Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. The human defense fleet had only 12 ships. They were patrol vessels meant to handle pirates or smugglers, not a major fleet. "Are they responding to our hails?" "No, sir, they're just sitting there. Wait." Boram's eyes went wide. "Sir, I'm reading over 800 ships now. They're huge, much bigger than anything we have." On the main screen, the alien fleet appeared as tiny dots of light, but the computer showed their true size. Each ship was 3 times larger than Hyunwoo's vessel. The largest ones were the size of small cities. Dr. Minji rushed onto the bridge, still wearing her lab coat. As the colony's chief scientist, she had been studying alien technology for years. "Commander, those ship designs match old Velkari records from the Galactic database. If I'm right, we're looking at a Dominion war fleet." "The Velkari?" Hyunwoo had heard stories about them. They ruled a vast empire in this part of the galaxy, but they had never bothered with human space before. "What do they want with us?" His answer came minutes later when a transmission filled the bridge. The alien on the screen was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. Its voice was cold and mechanical. "Human vessels, this is Admiral Kethvar of the Velkari Dominion. You are trespassing in sacred territory. You have 1 hour to remove all humans from this system. Any who remain will be destroyed." Hyunwoo stepped forward. "Admiral, I am Commander Hyunwoo of the Terran Colonial Defense Force. This planet has been our home for 15 years. We have legal claim under galactic law. We request a meeting to discuss this matter." The alien's 4 eyes showed no emotion. "There is nothing to discuss. Sacred territory belongs to the Dominion. Remove your people or we will remove them for you." The transmission ended. Hyunwoo stood in silence for a moment, then turned to his crew. "Get me a channel to the planetary government. Emergency priority." Governor Tae-jin appeared on screen from the capital city. Behind him, Hyunwoo could see people going about their normal day, children playing in parks, workers heading to their jobs. They had no idea what was coming. "Governor, we have a major problem," Hyunwoo said. "A Velkari fleet is demanding we evacuate the planet in 1 hour. We need to start emergency evacuation procedures right now." Tae-jin's face went pale. "How many people can you take?" Hyunwoo did quick math in his head. "Maybe 50,000 if we pack the ships tight and leave everything behind. But that still leaves over 2 million people on the surface." "Do what you can," Tae-jin said. "I'll start moving people to the spaceports." The next hour was chaos. Human ships landed at every spaceport on the planet. Families grabbed whatever they could carry and ran for the ships. Children cried as their parents pushed them aboard. Young-soo, a teacher from the main city, helped load students onto evacuation ships while his wife Hye-jin worked to save the colonial archives. Dr. Minji tried to contact the Velkari fleet again, offering to share scientific data or negotiate a slower evacuation. Her messages got no reply. The alien ships moved closer to the planet, their weapons charging with deadly energy. Commander Hyunwoo watched his ships fill with refugees. His heart broke as he saw thousands more people waiting at the spaceports, hoping for rescue that would never come. The math was simple and cruel. There wasn't enough time or space to save everyone. "Sir, we're at maximum capacity," reported Captain Woo Jin from one of the transport ships. "The ships can't hold any more people safely." "Time's up," announced Lieutenant Boram. "The alien fleet is moving into attack position." Hyunwoo made the hardest decision of his life. "All ships prepare for immediate departure. We leave in 60 seconds. As the human ships lifted off from New Busan's surface, Governor Tae-jin sent one final message. "Tell Earth what happened here. Make sure they know we died free." The Velkari attack began without warning. Bright beams of energy fell from the sky like rain. Cities that had taken years to build disappeared in seconds. The beautiful farms and forests that colonists had worked so hard to create burned under the alien bombardment. Dr. Minji watched from her ship's observation deck as her laboratory exploded in a ball of fire. 15 years of research gone in an instant. Around the planet, 2 million people died in the first few minutes of the attack. Commander Hyunwoo tried to fight back with his small fleet, but it was hopeless. The Valkyrie ships had powerful shields that absorbed human weapons. One by one, his ships were destroyed. His own vessel took heavy damage before he ordered the survivors to jump to hyperspace. As the 3 remaining human ships fled the system, Dr. Minji recorded everything she had seen. The peaceful planet burning, the cities reduced to ash, the orbital stations exploding like fireworks. She made sure the recording would reach Earth no matter what. Behind them, New Busan died. The Valkyrie fleet continued its bombardment until nothing remained alive on the surface. Admiral Kethvar watched the destruction with satisfaction. Another world brought under Dominion control. Another lesser species taught their place. But the alien admiral had made a mistake. He had let some humans escape. And humans, as he would soon learn, never forgot their dead. The 3 surviving ships jumped toward Earth carrying 50,000 refugees and one very important message. The Valkyrie had just started a war they could never imagine losing. But humanity was about to show them what real war looked like.